Hello guys and welcome to my budget deck channel, funny enough, even for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And today I kind of wanted to talk a bit about my favorite deck in Master Duel so far, and a way to play it relatively early on by just opening basically like one secret pack. If you're lucky enough, should be quite quick. And technically you don't need to open a single pack because this deck is aimed to be very budget friendly on the whole super rares and ultra rares. So bear with, I'll go through the deck card by card to tell you what I think makes sense in the deck if you want to try it to be very budget friendly. Obviously you can, well, the good thing about the deck is you can basically add cards to the deck afterwards once you've enjoyed playing the deck. That's one of the important things. You can add cards to it that make the deck a lot more strong, a lot more competitive as well. So that's always quite fun to do. And for this place though, I feel like this deck would get you up to the high gold, maybe Platinum 5 if you keep playing it often enough. Obviously you can already put cards and you see there's no Ash Blossom in it, there's no Maxi in it, there's no Nibiru in it. If you already have all of these staple cards, hand traps, you can easily swap them in for stuff like the Kaijus, for stuff like the trap cards, but I digress. I will talk about this in a second. So first of all, to level 4 normal monsters, because, well, you can play one, it's for Unexpected Die. It doesn't have to be the Magnet Warriors, it can basically be any level 4 rock monster that is a normal monster, and Unexpected Die, which technically is a super rare, but as if I'm not mistaken, you get this in tutorial. If we have a quick look at here, legacy packs or tutorial in the solo mode. So you should be able to play this card without even having to craft it. So I kind of count this as, well, for me that's the same as like Monster Reborn and Raigeki. You can easily get these cards without crafting them. So for me that is definitely budget. Helps you start your combos, helps you start going to rank 4s, for example, which one of the most important ones that you probably need to craft. Makes the deck more consistent, adds a bit of depth to the deck is Gallant Granite. Searches you mainly your Adamancipator Researcher, but could search all of the other ones. Could search a Block Dragon, for example, if you want to go that route at one point. Technically could search your Nibiru as well, if I'm not mistaken. So you could set that up for like your opponent's next turn if you really had a crap hand at the start and know you're playing against a combo orientated deck possibly, then that could be an option as well. Then next to the Prankets small mini engine that a lot of people already play in like a competitive deck. It's a bit different because you see in the extra deck it has its tweaks to it. Point of this one so far is basically more to stall or get like into higher link ratings. You can easily get from one card into link 3 then. You could add cards like the Ripon Warren Dragon from Prankets, the link 4, so you can burst your opponent's spell trap cards during your opponent's turn, which can be quite nice. But for that, you'd have to use one more super rare and one more ultra rare because you need the Rocket Ride and you need the Dragon. But you could easily do this and the main deck wouldn't change at all. So far the combo is more you go into Meow Meow when you hit Roxy's, or maybe special, even like normal summon it. You hope you don't have to, but sometimes that is your only play. You hit this card off of Adamancipator when you go in first, then you can go into Meow Meow, then you can fix your hand as well, which is very good. Roxy's basically lets you banish one card in your hand, and you will have a lot of useless cards in your hand from time to time, especially the wee stone guys. So that's quite nice. Hopefully you might draw into another tuner monster so you can keep your combos going. That's neat. You get a water monster in your graveyard with that combo, which is also nice for your dragon. And also you can build up a wall during your opponent's turn. Basically, if you go into Pranket's Bow Wow Bark, you can make monsters that you special summon back be unaffected, not unaffected, but not be destroyed by battle and by card effects, which with the Weather Washer combo and Bow Wow can be quite nice to stall. Maybe then next turn you can go into some better plays. Obviously you can add some link 4s, Appaloosa is great, Boros Sword Dragon is quite nice, and so on, Access Code Talker, all of these kind of things. You could then play the next turn, which is quite neat. Or if you want a wind monster in your graveyard because you're playing for the graveyard removal effect of that Adamancipator, you could use the effect of Doodle Doo. So in the end, then your monsters will only be not be able to be destroyed by battle due to the Weather Washer effect. But I mean, that's at least something as well. So gets you a little bit of a wall up if you, yeah, don't really have much of a play, so I felt like that's still better of an engine than just running plain rock monsters, because obviously Quackimairu monsters and whatnots are quite good in the deck, but they're all super rares, at least the important ones. So was Doki Doki, all of these kind of cards. So I feel like for a budget deck, this one is the best kind of engine that you can put into if you don't want to use all your super rares. If you do, obviously the Quackimairu Guardian, I think it is quite good. Doki Doki is quite good in the deck to extend your combos further, be protected from hand traps and so on. So that's probably a card you want to go for next, once you either draw them out of packs if you want to open these packs, or just in general craft them for yourself. Then you play each of the tuners at 3. Yes, even Researcher, because it's your best one basically. You don't have to technically. At 1 it would be fine-ish, but obviously the more you have of it, because you want to draw them, it's a lot better if you have it at 3. You could start out with it at 1. Wouldn't hurt you too much if you fill out the deck with some other kind of just good stuff, strong cards that you drew. Can work out, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. Analyzer, same kind of thing. Good going second. The deck in general isn't too bad going second. That's why cards like Raigeki are in here. Obviously, you can replace them with any actual good card. Lightning Storm comes to mind if you open that kind of pack. In general, Ash Blossom, Maxi, Nibiru, Infinite Impermanence, all kinds of shenanigans. Make sure you stop your opponent in gold while they're doing their Exodia combo. That's a kind of thing you want to be on the lookout for. And yeah, Triple Ash Blossom is always quite nice because Maxi shuts this deck down quite a bit, but not as much as the actual competitive variant of this deck, because you can technically end your turn by just setting 1 or 2 trap cards and going into one of the synchro, so your opponent won't have drawn too many cards, so that can be quite nice. Then next up, 3 of the green stone, 3 of the blue stone, and 1 of the red stone, because your red synchro monster isn't as important in the deck at the moment. Technically still the most important compared to if you actually play like a competitive variant, because now you can still search certain cards that you would need, like your trap cards. So the red stone is fine. You can obviously also switch out Dropsies with like the fire Prank Kids monster if you want to play around that red kind of synchro monster and you want to have a fire monster in the graveyard, but also Bow Wow Bark gets you one to the graveyard, so that is fine. Plus, I felt like, I don't know, you can... the most important one's the blue one. The other 2 don't matter too much, which 1s and 2s. But I felt like they at least do stuff in comparison to other rock monsters that are normal rarity or even rare. A lot of them do basically nothing for the deck. So I felt like they should be included if you want to keep your rock numbers up. Possibly can cut 1 or 2 of them if you play stuff like hand traps and whatnots. Because I think you had like 11 to 13 rock monsters that aren't tuners so far, so you shouldn't whiff most of the time when you actually excavate, but you have to keep that in mind because you have to have a somewhat count above like 10 for your rock monsters math wise, so you have like an over 80% chance of hitting a rock monster on your 5 excavations. But yeah, next up, a card because well, if you don't have hand traps and this kind of shenanigans, this card can be quite nice. Hydring over, for example, the Herald of Perfection is quite neat for other kind of negates as well, especially monster negates. Well, get trap card negates, it does nothing, but can help you set up your turn if you go second. Also, it's a wind monster, so if you manage to get into your graveyard, it does do stuff for your Adamancipator. Technically, also, since it's a kaiju, you can give it back to the hand because that's what the Drag-Eye does. So you could use it again if you with Drag-Eye and only get 1, then you can get rid of at least another opponent's monster. And since this only has 2,700 attack, you can then still run it over. So that's a card. It works. It's not the best. There's obviously a lot of better options, either for going second or for going first in general. But I felt like for the fact that it's only rare, it's a card that does work at least. Raigeki, always a good card going second, especially now. In lower ranks, not a lot of people have a lot of spell trap negates, I felt. So the card came in handy more often than it should. It's not the most powerful card. Lightning Storm is a lot better, obviously, because of spell and trap card removal. But it's a card that you get very much at the start in the tutorial. And from there on, could play this card. Monster Reborn is basically a different version of the Adamancipator spell that lets you revive a rock monster and put 1 on top of the deck, which is a super rare, but Monster Reborn you also get kind of for free, so I feel like that is a good extender for combos if you want it to be. Unexpected Die just gets you level 4 on the field, which can be nice for going into Gallant Granite, can be nice for working off with Researcher, basically getting a rock onto the board, and in general, if you whiff with one of the Adamancipators, you can still go into your Synchro. So I feel like that card can be quite strong. Does conflict a bit with Analyzer's effect, but you know, you have to kind of play around that a little bit. Adamancipator Fence, strong card. Either can extend your combos by digging for your tuners, basically, can also help you at the end of the turn set up for the next turn, because you have to keep in mind that for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except rock monsters. But it's only after this effect resolves, and your main playmakers are rock monsters, so you have to watch out a bit with the prank kits and stuff. But you can use the prank kits fusion during your opponent's turn and just activate friends after you've done the link kind of climb stuff. So I feel like the card still has its space in the deck, plus it's a rare card, so I felt like it needs to have an inclusion. Prank Kid's Pandemonium, nice card, is a quick play spell. Beware though, you can only use it during the main phase, so no standby phase shenanigans and no battle phase shenanigans, which I learned the lesson the hard way because I thought I could just fuse in the battle phase and win the game, but I could not, so keep that in mind. Also, after this card resolves, you cannot normal special summon monsters like Prank Kids monsters. You can still set them, so if you go into the Prank Kids combo, for example, and then set one of the stones with your trap card, that still works because your trap card doesn't have to be face up Adamancipator monsters. It's fine if they're face down, so you could go into the whole combo and even use the fusion during your turn. If you're playing, for example, with Rocket Ride and the Dragon Link kind of card, then you could still set afterwards an Adamancipator if you for some reason got Prank Kids onto the board beforehand. Doesn't really happen. Or if you fuse from hand, for example, and stuff like that, then that could be a thing that you do. It doesn't come up much, but yeah, it's nice. Plus, also a trap card at 3 is one of the cards that you could cut going on forward, because well, hand traps are a lot better than trap cards, basically. Also, this card is not a once per turn, so it does somewhat make sense playing it more than once, even though it does and it doesn't. Like, you can do stuff with it, it does come in handy sometimes, but you could probably cut this card if you have better cards than that. I really like Resonance because you just need an Adamancipator, a Synchro monster, and you have 3 monster negates, which is quite nice since that's also not once per turn. So for a counter trap, I felt like that can be quite nice, even though I feel like spell cards will be your nemesis a lot of the time, especially cards like Raigeki. If you don't get into your Dragite, that can be quite annoying. But most of the time, you will be able to at least get Water Monster into the graveyard and have one spell trap can't negate, but beware of what you're negating because that can come back to bite you. For the extra deck, technically don't need Leonide, but could play it at 1. If you're lacking super rares, then this is the card to cut probably in comparison. The other two are general. This card is a play extender, which can be super nice for digging into your other tuners. Could also get you stuff like the Quirky Mario stuff, for example, if you're playing it on a later stage. Could get you into the Roxy's combo, which is nice. So this card in general, I feel like is quite neat. Plus, disruption during your opponent's turn, banishing a card from the graveyard can actually be very helpful at times. So I feel like the card definitely has its space. And obviously, one Dragite, really nice to clean up boards, nice spell trap card negate. In general, very good card. You will get, along with just running 1 each, if your opponent doesn't banish them, you can still recycle them with the stones in the graveyard, which is neat. But if you have multiple of them because you opened the packs, then you can just play multiple of them as well. For the rest of the extra deck, you see it's only at 8, so there's still 7 spaces that can be filled. Link 3s, Link 4s can be nice. Lots of rank 4s can be very helpful. The good ones, Baguska comes to mind. Whatever you have actually will do the trick. And that's about it. Like, you can really go from this deck. That's like a basic skeleton where you don't have to put many points into it. You don't have to spend that much on it, and build on from there and actually make a competitive monster out of it, since Block Dragon is still fine. So that's the thing. And with a lot of hand traps and whatnots, this deck is quite a monster actually. It's not top tier, it's not tier 1, but I feel like it fares actually quite well with a lot of meta decks so far, and you can keep up, so I wouldn't say it's a waste of crafting material either. Hope you enjoyed this deck profile. Let me know in the comments what you think if you watched it, and yeah, hope you're having a nice day.